My name is Barbara Olds. I am the construction manager representative on behalf of the National Park Service. AFG's role is to provide construction management services to our client, the National Park Service. AFG works in partnership with the National Park Service in providing construction management expertise and services. So the project is about restoring the walls. The castle is a 200-plus-year-old fort, and it is built out of Newark brownstone. And of course, over 200 years, the brownstones have weathered. There are water impacts to the castle. There are water shedding impacts to the castle, and there is stone and mortar joint deterioration. So the project is to repair all of those issues and make it aesthetically pleasing. So the goal is to provide proper watershed while at the same time restoring the historical importance and historical grandeur, if you will, of the fort. We followed New York City and federal COVID guidelines. So everyone had to have their temperature taken, and temperatures had to be recorded. We all had to mask up outside as well as inside the trailer when we all got together to meet in the trailer. And if in fact someone did exhibit symptoms, they were sent home. They tested positive. Then they had to follow additional protocols before they were allowed to return to the site. Some of the interesting features are, well, for instance, at the Sally Port, which, if you know the project, we call it Elevation 1. If you don't know the project, the Sally Port is simply the main entrance to the building. And we had some architectural elements that we thought were strictly comprised and fashioned out of the Newark sandstone. Come to find out, while that might be the case, there was over several inches, I would say 8 to 10 inch thick concrete that actually fashioned these architectural elements. And so we couldn't continue with the original plan on how we wanted to restore these architectural elements because it was concrete. So what we wound up doing was taking some of the patching material and fashioning the architectural element out of the patch material. So at the end of the day, you couldn't tell if it was stone or not. And it was such an excellent job. The original stone was quarried from New Jersey. That quarry has since, over the past 200 years or so, has since closed and the stone's not available. So we have shipped the stone we use here from Germany. So it was quarried in Germany. It came to the United States, via shipping, which that in and of itself in this COVID age was a tremendous feat. And when it arrived in the United States, it cleared customs. The contractor shipped it by truck to their supplier in Rhode Island, who actually cut the stones to the shapes required. And so that supplier has been feeding the stones to the site ever since. And so we have plenty of stone. We actually saved some for the park service itself. Believe it or not, it's not an installation of any kind. It is actually has to do with my involvement in preparing the data used to determine the change orders per stone. The change orders were so involved, and we had to figure out how the contractor could track the work done on each stone. So, what I'm really proud of was the idea of taking the existing elevation sheets that are in the documents, numbering the courses from the bottom course to the top, because that's, you know, how you build a building. From the bottom course to the top, numbering that, then going across and numbering each stone. Thereby, we would create a spreadsheet, and so you would take course 1, stone 9. You look on a spreadsheet for course 1, stone 9, and you would see exactly what work was performed on that particular stone. Now, I'm proud of that because it turned into what the contractor called the stone tracking sheet. NPS loved it. It was the most easiest way to determine what work was done where on any point at any stone on this project. And that's what I'm most proud of. This project was just one of the most interesting projects I've ever been on. And I've been on a lot. Interiors, ground up, brand new buildings, renovations and additions. But this was very, very interesting. I have learned things on this project that I will just take with me. And if I never use what I learned, I still have it. Because I will never forget it. And so I just want to give you an example. Like, I learned on this project that the existing Brooklyn Battery Tunnel that we all use every day, the original concept was the Brooklyn Battery Bridge. And how did I learn that? Well, from the exposed steel that we found behind the walls of Castle Clinton. I mean, who knew? If you weren't a Robert Moses fan, you would never know that he envisioned the Brooklyn Battery Bridge first and actually started installing the steel for the overpass for the bridge, which we then found here and had to cut it back in order to continue installing our stonework around the castle. So that was very, very cool. The other thing I learned about is, custom mortars and how the mortars are created to give the look of 200-year-old mortar, even though we made it just an hour before we put it on the building, but to give it the look of it being 200 years old, I just thought the process to do that was also very, very cool. So I learned a lot of things. I learned a lot of interesting things. And this is one of the most interesting projects that I ever had to work on. And I want to thank NPS for selecting AFG. I want to thank Lou for proposing me. Hey, Lou! To be on the project. And I really, really had a good time. So I just want to thank you guys.